global death toll from COVID-19 surpassed 700,000 on Wednesday, according to a Reuters tally, with the United States, Brazil, India and Mexico leading the rise in fatalities. According to Reuters calculations based on data from the past 2 weeks, nearly 5,900 people are dying every 24 hours from COVID-19 on average. The United States and Latin America are the new epicenters of the pandemic, and both are struggling to curb the spread of the virus. Indian authorities said on Wednesday that 857 people died due to COVID-19 and 52,509 positive cases were recorded from across the country in the last 24 hours. Latest updates from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare showed that death toll due to the coronavirus infection rose to 39,795, while total positive cases soared to 1,908,254. India is the country with the third highest coronavirus caseload in the world, after the United States and Brazil. The government issued fresh guidelines for the third phase of unlock and eased the lockdown restrictions in areas outside containment zones. Australia's Queensland state on Wednesday said it would close its border with New South Wales state to hold back a second wave of COVID-19, while the country's second-largest city in Melbourne was set to shut most businesses from midnight. A surge in coronavirus cases in Melbourne has forced the state of Victoria to impose a night curfew, tighten restrictions on people's movement, and order most businesses to stop trading from Wednesday night. Other states are imposing new restrictions of their own to prevent any spillover from Victoria and an even bigger hit to the national economy, which has plunged into its first recession in nearly 3 decades. France could at any moment lose control over the spread of the coronavirus, the government's COVID-19 Scientific Council warned Wednesday, as official data showed the first rise in intensive care patients since April. In an opinion poll prepared by policymakers, the council warned the virus has recently been circulating more actively with an increased loss of distancing and barrier measures, and the council warned of a possible resumption of circulation of the virus at a high level by autumn of 2020 after the August summer holidays. A massive explosion rocked Beirut on Tuesday, flattening much of the city's port, damaging buildings across the capital and sending a giant mushroom cloud into the sky. According to officials on Wednesday, more than 100 people were killed and 4,000 injured, with bodies buried in the rubble. The sudden devastation overwhelmed a country already struggling with both the COVID-19 pandemic and an economic crisis. President Michel Aoun said that 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate used in fertilizers and bombs had been stored for 6 years at the port without safety measures, and he said that was unacceptable. He called for an emergency cabinet meeting on Wednesday. Close allies and traditional adversaries of Lebanon pay tribute for the victims of the massive, deadly twin blasts in Beirut as condolences and offers of hope poured in. Kuwaiti Health Minister Sheikh Dr. Bassel Al-Sabah expressed condolences to his Lebanese counterpart Hamad Hassan on the deadly Beirut port blast over a phone call. During the call, Sheikh Bassel stated that based on the directives of His Highness Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, and based on Kuwait's solidarity with the brothers in Lebanon, the state of Kuwait would provide urgent medical assistance to confront the effects of the huge explosion and overcome its repercussions. In the region, Gulf nations were among the first to react, with the state of Qatar promising to send field hospitals to support the medical response. Donald Trump said U.S. military generals have told him they seem to feel the massive Beirut explosion was a terrible attack likely caused by a bomb. Asked if he was confident of the explosion was an attack and not an accident, The president said it would seem like it based on the explosion. The cause of the blast was not immediately known, but initial reports suggested a fire had detonated a warehouse at the port. Britain said on Wednesday that it was too early to speculate on the cause of the massive blast that ripped through Beirut. President Donald Trump had earlier cast the explosion as a possible attack. When asked about speculation about the causes of the blast, British Junior Education Minister Nick Gibb said the Lebanese authorities are of course investigating the cause of the tragedy, and before the results of that inquiry are announced, it is premature to speculate. Minister Gibb also said that Britain was discussing what technical and financial assistance could be offered to Lebanon. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said on Wednesday that building an Indo-Pacific alliance with like-minded nations will be a critical priority of this government, warning the pace of militarization in the region was unprecedented. Premier Morrison told the Aspen Security Forum, which brings government and military leaders together with experts, today the Indo-Pacific is the epicenter of strategic competition. The annual conference is being hosted using virtual digital platforms this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Australia last month said it would boost defense spending by 40% over the next 10 years, buying long-range military equipment that will be focused on the Indo-Pacific region, where both Beijing and Canberra are competing for influence. Sri Lankans have started voting to elect a new parliament expected to give strong support to the powerful and popular Rajapaksa brothers. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected last November, projecting himself as the only leader who could secure the country after IS-inspired bombings of churches and hotels that killed 269 people. His older brother, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, is seeking a majority of the 225 seats in Parliament to return as Prime Minister. In an abrupt reversal, President Donald Trump now is encouraging voters in the critical swing state of Florida to vote by mail after months of criticizing the practice and only days after threatening to sue Nevada over a new vote by mail law. His encouragement follows a surge in Democratic requests to vote for mail in Florida, a state that President Trump almost certainly must win to secure a second term. Democrats currently have about 1.9 million in Florida signed up to vote by mail this November, almost 600,000 more than the Republicans' 1.3 million, according to the Florida Secretary of State. In 2016, both sides had about 1.3 million signed up before the general election. Minister Ma'in Abdul Malik Saeed instructed the local authorities in Shapwa province to intensify efforts to deal with rainfall to protect people. Local government officials and media reports said torrential rain and flooding in Yemen has killed at least 20 people, displaced thousands, and destroyed hundreds of houses and farms across the war-torn country. The Prime Minister briefed the Governor of Shapwa, Mohammed Saleh bin Adio, during a phone call on the existing needs to deal with the damage caused by the torrential rain. Tropical storm Isaias killed at least 4 people on Wednesday as it made its way up the U.S. Atlantic coast, including 2 deaths at a North Carolina trailer park that was struck by a tornado spun off by hurricane-force winds. The storm knocked out power to more than 2.8 million homes and businesses from New York to North Carolina, according to electric companies. The storm, which was briefly a Category 1 hurricane when it made landfall in North Carolina late on Monday, reduced the mobile home park in the north of the state to rubble hours later, leaving 2 people dead.